Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Story Avenue. Today, I'm sharing an emotional and heart-touching story about a father, a daughter, and a garden chair that carried their love, their memories, and their tears. So sit back, listen till the end, and let this story touch your heart. In a quiet town, there lived a 12-year-old girl named Aisha, full of life, laughter, and dreams. Her father, Mr. Rahim, loved her more than anything in the world. Ever since his wife passed away, Aisha had become his whole universe. Every evening, they had one simple ritual. They would sit together on the old wooden bench in their small garden. Aisha called it our chair. To Rahim, that chair was the safest place in the world, because his daughter's laughter lived there. But life has a strange way of testing love. One morning, Aisha woke up with a fever. Rahim thought it was just a common cold and gave her medicine before going to work. When he returned in the evening, he found her sitting on the garden chair, weak, pale, and barely able to smile. "Bubba, can you sit with me for a while?" she whispered. Rahim sat beside her and held her hand, not knowing that life was silently preparing to break him. By night, her fever rose dangerously. Rahim rushed her to the hospital. Tests. Doctors rushing, machines beeping, fear consuming his heart. The doctor walked out with heavy eyes. "Her condition is serious. We'll try our best." That sentence, those 4 words, can shatter any father in seconds. Aisha woke up for a moment and saw her father crying beside her bed. "Bub, why are you crying?" she asked softly. "I'm scared of losing you," Rahim whispered. Aisha touched his face gently. "Then promise me something. If I ever leave, you won't let the chair stay empty. Sit there every evening, talk to me." "I'll listen." Rahim shook his head, refusing to accept such words. "You're not going anywhere, my heart." Aisha smiled, closed her eyes, and never opened them again. When Aisha took her last breath, the world did not make a sound. But inside Rahim's heart, something shattered so loudly that even the hospital walls seemed to tremble. He held her tiny hand for hours, praying she would move just once more. Nurses came and went. Doctors whispered soft condolences, but Rahim heard nothing. All he could see was the joyful little girl who once danced around him, her laughter filling the whole house. To him, losing Aisha felt like losing the sun itself. The house that once echoed with Aisha's laughter now felt like a grave of silence. Rahim couldn't bear to enter her room, couldn't look at her books, couldn't touch her toys. But the garden chair, that was the hardest, because it was their place. Every time he looked at it, it felt like the world was crushing his chest. Many nights, Rahim would wake up thinking he heard Aisha calling him. He would rush to her room, only to see an empty bed and a window gently swinging open. He missed her morning hugs, her silly jokes, her soft good night. Bubba. Grief wrapped around him like ice, and no matter how much he tried, it never melted. A week passed. One evening, Rahim stepped into the garden, trembling. He walked to the chair and sat down for the first time without Aisha. The wind blew softly, and for a second, he felt a tiny warm touch, like a child's hand on his arm. He closed his eyes, and in the silence, he heard a whisper, "Bubba, I'm still here." Maybe it was imagination, maybe it was pain, maybe it was love, but he smiled through tears. A few days later, Rahim noticed a little neighbor girl watching him from across the fence. She looked lonely, with messy hair and eyes full of sadness. Her mother had left, her father worked all day. She spent hours alone. One day, she softly asked, "Uncle, can I sit with you? My house is very quiet." Rahim looked at the empty chair next to him. Aisha's words echoed. "Don't let the chair stay empty." He wiped his tears, smiled, and said, "Of course, Beta. Come." The girl sat beside him. For the first time in weeks, Rahim felt a little warmth return to his heart, not because someone replaced Aisha. No one ever could, but because love, when shared, begins to heal. As days passed, more children gathered around Rahim. Some brought flowers to place on Aisha's chair, some came just to talk, others came because they needed a safe place to sit quietly. Rahim listened to their little stories, helped them with homework, and sometimes just held their hands when they cried. Slowly, the garden, once filled with silence, began to bloom again with laughter. kindness, and hope. From that day on, Rahim never sat alone. Children from the street slowly started joining him. Some came to talk. Some came to escape loneliness. Some came because they needed love. People began calling him the father of the street. And the chair? It was never empty again, because Rahim finally understood something. When you lose someone you love, you don't stop loving, you spread that love to those who need it. Even after a heartbreaking loss, love always finds a way to return. Sharing love heals the deepest wounds. No chair is truly empty if the heart is full.